2 weeks ago, Hunter Biden was ordered to be deposed under oath in front of Congress. Hunter's deposition was commanded by a congressional subpoena. Even Daddy couldn't get him out of this one. Hunter immediately began a process of gaslighting the public before the day would come. The crooked, drug-addicted, influence-peddling, perverted son of the president claimed he was so transparent that he only wanted to answer questions in a public forum. In truth, Hunter did this because a private deposition with legal experts in control is far more effective at eliciting the truth than a public hearing with members of Congress given time limits and all the bells and whistles. Hunter skipped his deposition, choosing instead to hold a press conference outside of the Senate instead. Hunter chose to speak outside the Senate because if he had spoken outside the House of Representatives, Comer technically could have had him arrested for flaunting his defiance of a subpoena. On that Wednesday morning, Hunter, who's made millions selling his dad's power, blown it on drugs and hookers, refused to support his own daughter, and dated his brother's widow, went and played the victim.
For 6 years, MAGA Republicans, including members of the House committees who are in a closed-door session right now, have impugned my character, invaded my privacy. They displayed naked photos of me during an oversight hearing. And they have taken the light of my dad's love, the light of my dad's love for me, and presented it as darkness. They have no shame. My father was not financially involved in my business.
The CNN and MSNBC reporters were visibly weeping, the rest of us rolling our eyes. That's what it sounded like. The claim was that Joe Biden wasn't financially involved, was part of that. You heard that. The new goalpost moved back once again. Joe Biden was clearly involved, just only financially. And he was involved, dining with people, shoveling fortunes into the Biden web of shell accounts, chatting constantly with Hunter's business partners, even firing pesky prosecutors in Ukraine who threatened the corrupt Biden scheme. Joe did all that, and they want you to think that he wasn't getting any money. That's their new bar. That's their new lowered bar. Of course, anybody knows Joe Biden was both strategically and financially involved in this very obvious scheme. And Joe Biden was also involved in the strategy that Hunter Biden took to evade justice 2 weeks ago. In fact, the White House readily admitted that Joe was aware of what Hunter was going to say when he showed up outside the Senate on December 13th. Karine Jean-Pierre admitted it later that same day. In fact, she made this admission twice. Take a look.
The president was certainly familiar with what his son was going to say, and I think what you saw was from the heart. I don't have anything else to add. He was familiar. I don't have anything else to add.
Oops. Now, you're probably not surprised to hear this, but Karine Jean-Pierre isn't exactly a picture of communications competence. And right there, she confessed to Joe Biden's obstruction of a congressional proceeding, congressional investigation. Biden obstructing the investigation into his own family's corruption. It's a big deal. Today, James Comer and Jim Jordan sent a letter to the White House. It read in part, in light of an official statement from the White House that President Biden was aware in advance that his son Hunter would knowingly defy 2 congressional subpoenas, we are compelled to examine as part of our impeachment inquiry whether the president engaged in a conspiracy to obstruct a proceeding of Congress. Biden and his family have gotten loaded off of dirty foreign money, and now Biden is obstructing the investigation into their dealings as the president of the United States. The parallels between this and Trump's first impeachment are astounding. Recall that Trump was impeached for asking Ukraine to investigate Biden's firing of prosecutor Victor Shokin. Shokin was looking into Burisma, a corrupt energy company that was paying the Biden family millions of dollars. The owner of that company says he gave Joe Biden $5 million. At the time, Biden's widespread corruption was largely unknown, though. And Democrats, our intel agencies, and their lapdogs in the media needed to keep it that way. Remember, they had to get Trump out of the White House. So what'd they do? Well, they attacked Trump and hit him with an immediate impeachment. This is what happens when you threaten the real power in Washington. This is how vicious they are. Trump was hit with abuse of power for his phone call to Zelensky by people that knew it was more than appropriate, that knew Joe Biden was very, very corrupt. Trump was also hit with obstruction, as Democrats claimed he instructed his closest advisors not to comply with their ridiculous subpoenas over this ridiculous impeachment. The Democrat machine immediately went to work, hyping obstruction as a totally legit charge for impeachment, saying for those who think obstruction of justice was something made up by the Democrats to get at President Trump, have a look at the Declaration of Independence. It begins with a long list of grievances against King George. Eighth in the list is the following. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. I'm sure the Brookings Institute regrets writing that up now, as Biden is now impeachable on several fronts. Bribery, possibly treason if Biden is found to have acted to the benefit of the Chinese communists, which it appears that he did. They got a lot of money from China. And now obstruction. Today, Biden left his first Christmas vacation at Camp David to head to St. Croix for his second Christmas vacation. His wingman, Hunter, very likely with him, although the White House is trying their best to conceal that, as they have been concealing a lot of Hunter's visits with Joe Biden recently. Hunter, at 53, has been spending a bizarre amount of time lately with Joe Biden, far more than most grown men spend with their elderly fathers, staying for 2 weeks at the White House, snuck in. The White House staff was not even told. They had no idea he was there. That was just before his corrupt plea deal with Biden's DOJ fell apart under scrutiny from an honest judge. Hunter snuck into the White House on December 19th, then went to Camp David with his father, and now most likely is in the Virgin Islands with his dad. Arriving late this afternoon, just a corrupt president and his bagman son conspiring together as the walls close in, a line they always used about former President Trump. They conspire together again at the home of a super wealthy Democrat donor.